We're delighted to say we have Sarah Rowe with us. Sarah, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, how are you?
What part of
Good
the
to be
world?
on.
What part of the world are you in today?
I'm in Gosford, which is about an hour drive outside Sydney.
Right. And is that where the Central Coast Mariners, your new football team, are based?
That's where it's based, yeah. So I have just moved up to Sydney yesterday and I'm basically living down the coast for 2 days a week and then living up in Sydney the other 5 days of the week. So yeah, it's great. It's been great to be around the beach, training in the morning and then at the beach after that.
Nice. It sounds like life is pretty good at the minute. How did this come about, this latest move and another switch of sports?
I know it seems to be like the comeback every couple of years, but basically I was like the way the AFLW competition is at the moment is we're in 12-month contracts, but we obviously play for only 6 months of the year. So we do a 12-week preseason and then we go into a 12-week season essentially. And then the rest of that time in the year is essentially downtime where there's compulsory / non-compulsory training where you're preparing for the upcoming AFLW season. And it feels like a bit of dead time. So I just felt like in that time, there's an opportunity to play another sport. And within our contracts at the moment and our CBA, you are allowed to play in the A-League. So it felt like a perfect opportunity to go back to soccer again, obviously a sport that I love. And I do miss the round ball a lot. I miss Gaelic football with Mayo and very much so miss soccer as well. So I just felt like it was a perfect opportunity.
And was it easy to find a club? How did that come about?
Well, I have a soccer manager who works across different clubs around, obviously with Ireland, but also globally as well. So I spoke to him and he was kind of saying, he rings me every year and says, are you interested in playing soccer this year? And if so, he kind of puts out the feelers for me. And he did so. And I was like, obviously with Australia and being close to Collingwood would be the most ideal situation because then I can have access to both clubs, and if Collingwood need me to be in Melbourne, that I can be there and I can again get to pre-season on time and not miss any requirements on that end. So it was kind of like it felt like a good option to play in Australia this time. And yes, we put out the feelers and then I spoke to the coach at Central Coast Mariners and I was just really impressed by Emily. And Emily Husband is her name and just the way she operates and also them being a new club. And I was like, the opportunity to play in Sydney and move for a couple of months, put yourself into a new environment where you're going to be uncomfortable again.
Yeah, I thought by the headline of the story, Sarah, that it was a family affair. Rowe lured to Mariners by chance to work with husband. And I was like, oh, that's nice. But of course, what we're talking about there is Emily Husband, who's the A-League Coach of the Year.
Trust an Irish person to see the humour in that. I never thought of it like that, but go pick up. Yeah, so Emily Husband, she's been amazing since I got here. The culture of the club has been great, and I just think transition in sports is never easy. And I always think that I come out stronger at the end of it, whether it's mentally or physically. So I always take the opportunities if they're there, to challenge myself again. And sometimes you just need that in sport, just a new, fresh environment. It's something different.
Were you playing soccer semi-regularly, even just as a hobby, throughout the last number of years when you weren't, actively pursuing it day to day?
No, I haven't been. I have done some level of work with Sean Byrne when I was home in Ireland for 8 days and I trained with the Foss boys for 2 sessions with Sean Byrne. And then when I was home before that was about 6 months ago and I did train, I did 2 maybe soccer trainings, but like Collingwood obviously have to approve everything. Yeah. So it needs to be across with them and to complement AFLW. And if they think it's going to work and benefit me and benefit them as well, like it did have to be a collaborative approach where I spoke to all parties and made sure that all the boxes were ticked.
It is an amazing journey that you've had, you are so multi-sported. Where does that come from, that desire to continue to be active across the range of different sports?
I just think that there's so much that I've gained from Gaelic football, which I'm so grateful for, and the attributes that you get from it, that the Irish players have essentially brought over to AFLW. And the same goes true for soccer and the skills that you learn in soccer and how that complements AFLW. And I don't think the Irish players would be the players that they are out here without Gaelic football and what that's done for us and the skills that we learn in those games. So I kind of find like it's a way of going back to that and to that training that I suppose you probably don't get this. Each team and each sport trains that slight bit differently,
Yeah.
but there are skills from other sports that you can bring across that really complement the game. I do find it's much harder to go from AFLW back to soccer or AFLW back to Gaelic football. Find it easier going the other way.
Why is
For
that?
some reason.
That's very interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it's the agility side of soccer and Gaelic football. I think that really complements AFLW. But then in AFLW, the way you prepare is slightly different, and you do more long distance running. You do the short stuff as well, but not as much of it. So I do find that the agility side of soccer and Gaelic really complement AFL.
Is there a mental aspect to that as well? That actually you talked about being out of your comfort. That you actually enjoy that part of it as much. Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Like every time you have to embrace the humility in the whole thing, because like I'm never good when I come back. It's never a smooth transition. The first few weeks you're way off the mark. Your position is all wrong. Your patterns in your mind are thinking AFL, or they're thinking something like they're not thinking the way that you need them to think. So sometimes I feel like my body knows what it wants to do, but my mind is there, but my body's not. And so you kind of have to relearn things as well. But then with muscle memory and with repetitions, you get there and it comes back after a couple of weeks. But like you do just have to be really persistent with that. But yeah, you definitely prove a point to yourself in it all. If you do get back and you do get back to your best, there's an element of resilience that it builds within me, and probably the way I see it, that you can, really, most of sport is about your mindset and how you apply that.
What position are you playing football at the moment?
Playing right back actually at the moment. Hopefully they play, depending on the system that they're playing, but right back or wing back position, where I'll be through the right wing and right back.
Was that always your position, or is that a new thing?
Well, I have played right back before, but very limited time there. So I also am learning a new position currently as well, and to add in all the new learnings. But right wing is generally my position.
Okay, so it's not a million miles away. There's at least a sense of responsibility that maybe right wingers traditionally would have left the defending to the right backs. Now you've got to learn the best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. There's more of responsibility, I think, when you go into right back. But if we play the wing back position, there's a bit of a blurred line.
And is that enjoyable?
Yeah, no, definitely. I absolutely love soccer, and just like going between the right and left wing, I think is where I feel like I'm at my best. But also playing AFLW, also playing on the wing as well. It's those patterns, I suppose, in ways are similar.
What is your first love, would you say, between AFLW, soccer and Gaelic football?
But I have to give the right answer, and the family answer is Gaelic football. My granddad would kill me if I didn't say anything else. But it's Gaelic football is probably where my heart lies. But I do definitely see the opportunity in AFLW, and it's done like the Irish players over here have come over and had such a big impact, and it makes you incredibly proud to see the waves that they're making over here. But it really started with Gaelic football, so all credits go to Gaelic football and Mayo football in particular. But I think soccer then is probably my next sport, and then AFLW probably next after that.
You returned to the League of Ireland to play with Shells and Bohs in recent years. Is the graw still there to return to Ireland in the short term, would you think?
Well, there's always that option. I think home is home and family are at home, and it's that double-edged sword that you're always faced with, being so far away from home. You want to be with your family and you love Ireland and everything it has to offer, but you do see the opportunity in sport over here as well. And, sport has a limited shelf life as well, and you want to make the most out of it while you can.
We should actually touch more on that with your spell with Bohs, because that was in line to be involved with the Ireland squad at the World Cup last year, which, seems like a lifetime ago, but it was only a year and a half ago. You got on the standby list, so it was the 31-player squad, and you were involved in the training squad. Can you talk us through what that was like at the time? Because I don't think we've spoken with you about that spell, actually.
Yeah, that time was, when I think back on that soccer journey, like it was a difficult few months, but again, I feel like I grew so much as a person in that time. Just like felt like going from Melbourne Victory to Bohs it was just like a completely like even just the systems and the way they played. But Sean Byrne and Dave Connell were so helpful to me in that time, and forever grateful for that. And I'm forever grateful for Bohs and how welcoming they were to me. And it just, again, it gave you that sense of home, that sense of pride being back in Ireland. It means a lot. And I think when you're away from home and you're playing in like massive stadiums and with big crowds over here at times, but it just never feels the same because it's not a home crowd and it's not your people and it's not your family. So while it's amazing to do what we do, there's a sense of there's a part of your heart that's missing, not being in Ireland or playing in front of the people that you love the most. But I think that getting called into the Irish squad essentially last minute, it felt like it was a journey of 6 months where I was working through that and just trying to get better every week, really, and trying to stay on task. But there did feel like there was a lot of distraction and noise outside at the time with the hype of the World Cup.
Yeah.
But I think like you always regret the things you didn't try, and I think that it's good to try things, and if they don't work, there's still always great learnings from them. But yeah, being in and training with the squad, I think it was 2 weeks before they went to the World Cup. And it was good. Like, obviously, you would have loved to have got there, but I think the journey definitely outweighed the destination in lots of ways.
Can you talk to us about what it was like to be on the standby list? What does that actually entail? Is it literally just waiting to see if your phone's going to ring if anything happens and you get along with your life, or how does it work?
Yeah, I think when I went back to soccer initially, I think Vera was like, "You're dreaming," and I was like, "That's fair, 100%." But look, I'll die trying. I'll give it a crack anyway. But I also wanted to, like, again, I love the sport, so it was like, while the World Cup would have been the dream in lots of ways, you still go. It's still great to get to play the sport. But yes, I remember getting a message from Vera where she said, "I didn't think you could get as close in the time you did, and well done, you're on the standby list." And I kind of text back being like, "What does that mean?" And I said, "What does that mean?" And she said, "Well, if there's an injury, you could be called up." So at the time, I remember there was pressure to get back to Collingwood as well. And so I continued to play a game or two for Bohs, but then I was under pressure with the AFLW, and so I had to get back to Australia straight away then as well. So the tides kind of turned pretty quickly, but it was amazing to go and support the girls in Australia. I flew up to Sydney. I did a thing for lifestyle sports just before the game, and I remember the hype was unbelievable, absolutely incredible what the girls did, and the revelation that was for Irish women in sport, and hopefully soccer continues to grow in Ireland.
That it must be so unbelievably conflicting being on a standby list because you're relying on your teammates / friends to get injured so that your dreams can be fulfilled.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for me, it was more about going back to play a sport that I loved. And yeah, the icing on the cake would have been if you got to the World Cup. But the other party is like I took a massive risk to try get there with a very short amount of time, and my expectations were low. But obviously, you'll always, as a sports person, you'll always aim high to see if you could maybe do something special in that time. But again, it was a big risk at the time, so I probably didn't have high expectations, and I was very happy for the girls. And again, like those girls being my friends, like Chloe Mustaki and Katie McCabe, and seeing them do what they do, like you have nothing but pride and massive respect for the girls.
The draw for Euro 25 has been named, so Wales have been grouped with England, France and the Netherlands, while it's definitely the group of death. I don't know if you caught that Welsh win at the Aviva, was it last week now at this stage, or 2 weeks ago? But it was so disappointing, wasn't it? Because it was there for the taking for Ireland.
Yeah, so disappointing. And I think that's it. Like, when the girls probably had the expectations that they would win that game, and to walk away and not win is just so disappointing, and what that means for them going forward as well. And especially Eileen Gleeson as well, stepping down. Yeah. You can see the girls tweeting about her all week, and the amount of respect that the girls had for her. I'd say it was, I'd say there's a few very heavy hearts after that.
There's people concerned in the comments, Sarah, that there's lightning happening behind you. Is this true?
I don't actually. Oh my God, there is. That was a good pickup. I didn't see that myself. It's actually 40 degrees here at the moment.
Oof. 40.
So it's 40. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. That obviously needs to get rid of this heat because it's not normal.
What is your Australian Christmas like?
I actually have training Christmas Eve, then I have one day off Christmas Day, and then I travel to Perth on Boxing Day, and then I play New Year's Eve as well. So not much of a Christmas, really, a lot of training. It's weird. It's just like nothing really stops. Everything just keeps going. I don't know, is that the soccer world or what? But the Mariners will be in full swing throughout Christmas. I think we have 4 games in 2 weeks.
Um, you have always, over the years when we've been talking to you, been quite conscious of the fact that there's an exterior world to the professional life of sport, as in there's a career that you need to develop at the same time. How are you getting on with that at the moment?
Yeah, that's always been really important to me. I just think that you want to add levels to yourself rather than just being a sports person. And when all is said and done, I want to walk out of sport and say, like, I have other things that I can do, and I'm not just a sports person. While sport gives you many experiences, like, you do have to think about like life after that. So this year I've focused a lot. We started a podcast called Tagged with the AFLW, and then I did some sports commentary work, radio and TV stuff, and yeah, a lot more stuff in TV, which was great, really good experience for me. And just like, you think of TV and the media and all that stuff as one dimensional in ways, but there's many different skills within the media is what I've learned throughout this year. But I've definitely learned a lot through this year. And then I work with a company called Performance by Design as well. It's consultancy and leadership and culture. So that's with Paul Roos, who used to be a former coach at Swans. And yeah, so I'm getting lots of experience in other things and dipping my toes into a few things to figure out what it is that I want to do and when it's all over. But yeah, it's been great to have that. I think it's a really good perspective shifter as well, because sport can be all consuming at times.
It seems like the AFLW is becoming a bigger beast year on year, and that the number of games that they're asking players to play will increase. We've with Vicky Wall on recently, and she figured that maybe this year or maybe next year might be the last year that the inter-county players will be able to just about manage the dual seasons. Is there a world for you in which actually that expands to a point where that 12-month contract is all you do and that's the only sport you do?
Yeah, definitely. It feels like that's getting closer and closer every year. I think even this year with playing soccer, it was a joint decision with myself and all at Collingwood as well. That, like, whereas before it was like we were in 6 or 7 month contracts and essentially the club don't have control over you the other 6 months. Whereas now it's like, well, you're actually bound to them for these 12 months. So everything had to be talked through, and it wasn't as simple as just like, yeah, off you go home to Ireland there for 6 months. It's more like, we kind of need you back here at a certain date, and like you have to be back. It works out perfectly with the A League. I finished the 15th. So pre-season starts the 15th of May with Collingwood, and the latest Mariners will finish is the 17th. So there'll only be a 2-day crossover. So it works out perfectly. But if it didn't and you were missing a couple of weeks of preseason, like just the injury risk and stuff, so it feels like it's that's coming very close.
All right. Well, whatever happens this Christmas, we wish you the very best. But it sounds like it's going to be an incredibly busy 12 months for you. Congratulations on the move again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, lads.